And welcome back to the Off the Clock Show. You are joined once again with your host, Shawn Gervais from OrbisX, as well as Marty, Mr. Marshall Hill from the Pints and Polishing Podcast. And I'm just about to give out Marty's cell phone number so everyone can call him directly when they need support. Sorry, prior to us, please do. Prior to us pressing go here, we were talking about some customer support issues in businesses. We'll dive into it in a bit. But how was your weekend there? It's Mother's Day for you guys this past weekend.
Yeah, weekend. This past weekend was Mother's Day. Do you?
Yeah, same here.
Canada, you guys don't really celebrate moms, but we do.
we do.
We love our moms. So.
Oh, ouch! I'm feeling bad. We give them maple syrup and a baby bonus.
That's why I know that you don't love them. You give them maple syrup. Yeah. They're like, damn it, we already have it. Like, hey, it's a national treasure. You got to take it.
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome. It's what we have in our Federal Reserve, basically.
I'm trying Rum Haven today.
Rum Haven.
Thought of you because it's Caribbean rum.
For which country is that from? Interesting.
Caribbean country.
It's from the pirate movie.
I don't know. It doesn't say. It was bottled in California. Oh, this is even better. You'll love this. You'll love this. Product of Canada.
Oh my God. Oh.
Here I am going for, hey, this is Caribbean rum, and it says it's even made with coconut water, and I'm like, hell yeah. And you're like, which country? What the fuck? It's Canada. How'd that happen?
Because it's Caribbean
in the world
inspired.
Did that happen?
Yeah. We've got beaches.
Rumhaven.com, product of Canada. Oh.
That's hilarious. But wait, bottled in California?
Yeah, Harrodsburg. Oh, CA. I guess that could be Canada.
Yeah.
Harrodsburg?
I don't know where the hell
That's pretty dang good, though. Yeah.
Damn. There we go. They probably put maple syrup in it. That's why. They got a little splash in the bottom. That's
it's heavy on the coconut.
Yeah.
Coconut. Yeah, that'd be real easy to drink, though. All right, that's going to be super easy to drink. Dangerous. Yeah. Gonna be dangerous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's creep up on you, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything this side of the border, too. You know, it's a little stronger. Our beer, our CRMs, you know.
So did you get your mom anything for Mother's Day?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I can say it on air, but
wow.
I got her 12-month cable subscription. Let's put it that way. With
your mom have an interesting fetish that we should all learn
no.
I mean,
okay, now I gotta dive in.
Cable subscription pretty generic, so I don't know.
Just some very specific channels. No, I got a buddy that has those, you know, those boxes where it's like you get all the pay-per-view and everything that. All yeah. So I got her one of those things because she was watching a lot of, you know, shows on Netflix, stuff like that, but she watches a lot of British shows actually. So for a while she had a VPN, she was switching her IP address and all this stuff. And anyway, that's no longer working the same way. So she had to find a way, because in Canada, they actually rip out a lot of the stuff that, you know, is worth watching. I don't know why, you know, they censor it a little too hard. So anyway, she was missing some shows. So I got her that box. And then obviously the usual type stuff. You know, she wanted some bath products and things like that.
Is it the box that like 2 hours after a movie premieres, like 2 a.m., you know, that it shows up with the movie inside the box and
absolutely
people are walking in front of the screens and all that stuff? Oh,
but
I'm well versed.
But without the people walking in front of it. Yeah. Without the people walking in front of it.
Oh, it's progressed now to you don't have people walking in front. I guess because not
usually.
everything's in a theater anymore. So that does make sense. But
so they've got the
back
digital
in the day, right? Back in the day.
That was the
some cell phone stores. So I knew all about the people that could teach me how to do what you're talking about. And you would jailbreak them and you'd go in and do all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that I remember those though. You'd be watching something, a great part's coming up, and you see someone stand up and they're just fucking across. Like, damn. It's funny because I keep forgetting, because we have a projector here, and I keep forgetting that that's how that works. So sometimes I'll get up, you know, like go get something, and I'll be standing there and I'll turn to everyone like, hey, does anyone want anything? And they're like, yeah, you to move. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I forgot. Like, damn. Yeah, my kids are savage. That's why. But yeah, so it was a good Mother's Day. And then for my wife, I went a little overboard. I have a little problem with well, I can never go overboard for her, but what I mean is I have a little problem with hanging on to gifts prior to the day where it's like burning a hole in my pocket and I just want to give it to them. So I first got her an Apple Watch, not an Apple Watch, Samsung Watch. I forgot she's Android. She really wanted this watch. And so I got it maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks before Mother's Day. But then it was burning a hole in my pocket. I literally gave it to her that Friday after I got it. So I was like, oh, damn, what next? So I knew she wanted a new greenhouse. So I bought a greenhouse. But then as soon as the box showed up, I was like, okay, I could hide this thing in the garage, sure. Or I could just put it together. So then I put it together. So then I was like, damn. And that was 2 weeks ago. So now I was like, okay, now what do I do? So anyway, I just decided, I was like, babe, we're going to have a nice relaxed weekend. You're going to get to do whatever you want and the kids aren't going to bother you and all this stuff. There wasn't too much going on in the city. We have a tulip festival if you're into that kind of thing. That's pretty much it. So I said, just give her a nice, relaxing, pampered weekend at home. And then I don't know what happened, but we woke up that morning and she was complaining about a pair of pants or something. I said, you know what? Why don't we do some shopping? So then next thing you know, $1,500 later, she's got a whole new outfit, everything. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? So anyway, it wasn't even a birthday, but hey, mother of my children, celebrate her. That's my queen. So, it is what it is. How about you though? Did you?
Not $1,500 on shopping. Hell no.
No.
Let's get back to Walmart. Ding.
Yeah.
Put them down, girl. We got to go to Kmart's.
Yeah, Kmart's. Is that still around, Kmart?
No idea.
I don't know.
No idea.
Here we've had a bunch of them go under. Oh my God, man. The one that killed me is Zellers. We had this one Zellers.
Yeah, no, we just went over to my mom's. I grilled some chicken. Family was over. We just had some lunch and then went back home.
Chicken, no picanha? Huh.
Yeah, grilled chicken.
Okay, damn. I guess you're all picanha'd out. That's the
no picanha was the night before. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, see, there we go. Okay, I knew there was picanha at some point.
Of course.
I was like, yeah, there has to have been. You're pretty tight-lipped about it.
I've got to get my pre-smoking done a little bit better. I did 30 minutes, still just a little bit much for me. I needed to, by the time I seared it, it finished off as a medium well, and that's
okay.
That's not good for me. So I think I did 30 minutes on the smoking. I need to bring it down, maybe 20 minutes. And then sear it, and I think I'll be good. But it's strange. I mean, I don't know why this meat smokes so much faster than all the others. I mean, it's crazy, but it just smokes really
that's
fast.
crazy because it's thick enough too. Like
it's very thick.
Yeah, like that's damn, that's interesting though. Has anything changed with your smoker? Like you got a new smoker or something? No? Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. But so we were hanging out, eating some lunch, and the interesting part for me that's really been taking effect lately is, conversations that we've had with, as you and I have said, over the past years, as well as Nick, my business partner, what we've said on the Pints of Polishing podcast is getting ready for the moments of what does a recession look like? What does it mean when customers aren't calling as much? What does it mean when stuff slows down, right? Like, it means people go out of business. And that's never fun. It's never fun to have conversations with people who are going out of business or not. I've shared the story of now there's a guy that's selling a ceramic coating. He's a ceramic coating rep and raving to everybody, and they're creating this, this we're a movement type of deal. And it's like, you went out of business. You were literally on the phone with me saying you weren't sure how it happened, but now you want to go teach other people like
how to be successful in their business.
Makes no step, right?
Yeah.
I can't just, right. So those are tough conversations. Tough conversations also happen when it's a family member. Yeah. Yep. It just hits a little different, doesn't it?
Big time.
Right. Like, ooh, that's not fun. And
no.
and it's not fun because just imagine for people that are listening, you got to give up on a dream that you had.
Mm.
You got to, like you and I said a second ago, I think, it was like, imagine, then going to go clock in, right? Like,
Yeah.
not very many people can do that if they've been, their own guy.
Yeah.
Being your own guy is being your own guy, and then going to go work. It's okay, which I told him, which told my mom. Said, I think it's great. I think you should go get a job, right? Like, if you're at this point and there's too much stress, the family's in, starting to have some stress, you got kids about to go into, right? Like, you
Might be
evidently
the best thing
haven't
for you.
been able to. So no need to fight. Just bow your humility and
Yeah.
do what you got to do to make sure that everybody gets what they get, and make sure your kids are happy. And
It's
you know,
true.
you kind of do one of those. I feel for you, buddy, but I what
Yeah, because not
happened, right?
everybody's
Like,
built for it, you know.
not everybody's built for it. Is really the thing. And
Yeah.
and and he's gotten into a moment, like so many other people have gotten into a moment right now, is where they go, oh, I don't have as many people calling. Oh, I don't have as much. And I told him it's the same thing I tell everybody else, is because you're the owner doesn't mean you're not the salesman.
100%.
I don't know where that confusion ever came into place. And what does a good salesman always do? He
Close.
always keeps his funnel, right? He always keeps stuffing, always keeps it in his funnel. He always has stuff coming down the chamber. And a good salesman is always going to be trying to hunt for more. But so many small business owners, so many solopreneurs, so many guys just out trying to make it,
Mhm.
they don't really
Well,
think
that's
about it that far. And that, that
that's
they've got
what
to
I've
do all
seen a
this
lot
and
of
that.
is people want the customers to close themselves, for example. A lot of guys want, I want the customer to fully start to finish. I don't even want to talk to them. They can look at my schedule when I'm available. They can book themselves in. They'll close themselves. And it's like, okay, that works when it works, I guess. But what about the sales you're missing out on? Is that going to be enough to sustain you? Because a lot of customers need a little nudge, and oftentimes, especially if you're trying to turn a ticket from a $500 ticket to a $2,000 ticket, they're going to need a nudge for those upsells and things like that. If we just left it to people just booking themselves, because people submit requests at our shop all the time, but then we follow up with them. We make sure that they're booked in for the right stuff, make sure it's the right day for us. We make sure that, they're getting add-ons that we want to push, whatever we're pushing that particular month, because at the end of the day, that increases our revenue. And with our cost of acquisition for a customer, I want to squeeze as much as I can out of that sale, and also make sure that they're getting what they actually need to be happy. But that's where you got to step in and do sales. Like, even me, I'm running a million things, but I still find time to assist my guys with the sales, because my shop runs itself 100%, but I still have to be there to help out, because even though I'm not doing direct sales right now, we have people for that. I have to oversee them. So I'm still doing sales in a way, because I got to come up with creative promotions for them, creative
Marketing.
ideas. Yeah, exactly. And I got to also make sure that that funnel is full to the brim. You know what I mean? And if there's overflow, guess what? Well, I guess Sean's jumping on a couple calls or a couple emails or text message chains, whatever it happens to be. Because at the end of the day, I don't want slow periods ever. I want to keep growing, and I don't even want to stay the same. It's got to be leveling up. But those conversations can be tough to have. I had a guy here today. So we're getting our deck redone, talking to him about his story and everything, because he's been doing construction a while. But prior to that, he took a break and he opened a restaurant during the pandemic. Well, just before the pandemic wiped him out.
Yeah.
He told me, he said, just wiped him out. He started it with his brother. That was their dream,
No
so
chance. No
they
chance.
left construction, went to this. Yeah. Wiped him out. He said he's just now pulling his brother out of the funk that he's been in. And he's had to have a lot of those hard conversations. But he jumped right back into, he was like, I know construction. I know that business. Jumped right back into it. He pivoted. He saw, okay, people can't go out to the restaurants during pandemic, but guess what they can do? Renovate their backyard. You know what I mean? So he jumped in full force, and he's just been growing ever since. He got some big contracts, which is
Pivot.
good. So
Yeah.
pivot 100%. But you look at
Navigate.
that. same family, two brothers.
Mhm.
One got stuck in a rut, and the other one saw it as like, well, that didn't work. Wake up tomorrow and do something else. And you know, but he had said something to me today that really stuck out. Actually, he said, you know, look how many people started something when they were 70. You know, he said they start something that late and they still can make it, you know, work or whatever. And so he was born 91, I think he said. So he's quite a bit younger than us. But he was looking at it. He's like, man, why wouldn't I get up every day and try?
Yeah,
He
he's
said
got
because
plenty of time.
plenty of time. He said he could fail for like,
Yep.
you know, another 2-3 decades and still make something work. He's like, don't get me wrong.
But, you know.
But no. But what I'm saying is, obviously, at that point, you got to take a look in the mirror and say something's wrong. But what he was more saying is that, like, let's say pandemic comes, he launched his restaurant. Had the pandemic not happened, maybe his restaurant would have flourished. You know, pandemic came, wiped him out. So he just pivoted, kept going. But that's the thing, is that shit can happen, but he's still the entrepreneur inside, so he can still keep pushing forward. And yeah, it's one of those things. The pivoting, man, like it's the lipstick index. You know the lipstick index? This isn't a tip, I promise. Okay. Well, maybe it'll turn into one. I don't know. I never know when I
Already
just start
did.
talking. Yeah. But so lipstick index, Estee Lauder, the lipstick and makeup, cosmetic stuff. So there's a lipstick index that they've coined. Basically, when lipstick sales are soaring, usually it's an indication of an upcoming recession or that discretionary spending is taking off. So consumer confidence, basically, right? So it's one of the two. And so lipstick sales, though, during the pandemic plummeted. And even though all the other indicators of the lipstick index said that they should have been actually doing better, the reason was people are wearing masks. So women didn't care so much what it looked like. What they did is they pivoted their marketing, and instead, guess what took off? Eye makeup. People are still seeing that part of your face, right? So it's funny little things like this. Coincidentally, what did also plummet was deodorant sales, because with people social distancing, they didn't really give a shit anymore, which is kind of funny. But that's where you got to be able to take a look at the world around you, but also take a look at yourself and your organization. I think that's an important thing. I'm trying very hard not to turn this into a tip of some kind.
It's already tipped out 3 times.
It's already tipped out. I'm already
Don't even
tipping.
talk about it.
Damn.
You know, the other problem that most people have, like what I know that the people I've talked to had, is their life over, you know, they start, too many people, I think is what you say, you know, thinking like an entrepreneur or having it inside, like having a little success doesn't mean that you're successful. The same as just because you fail at something doesn't make you a failure. I think you got to look at it on both sides, right? Like to your buddy's point or the contractor's point, 2 decades might be a bit much, but I used to have that theory too. Like it didn't matter. And I actually led a discussion at Mobile Tech on this. You know, failing is okay. You actually need it so that you can learn. It doesn't make you a failure. However, also the flip side, it is also duly noted and should be, just because you have some success. And this is that detailer ego that happens so much, especially after the pandemic. There was a best time, even in the pandemic, we've never known. I'd said it 17, 18, 19, right? The best time ever to be a detailer. We've never known those times. Yeah. Then Corona happened. You couldn't have asked for a better time to be a detailer. You really couldn't. I know the people that complain, like, I shut my doors, like, well, you're an idiot. And you're the one, sorry, you're that stupid. Those of us that didn't,
not once,
fucking kicked ass. And we kicked ass for all of 2020, most of 21, right? It was absolute best time to ever work with people about cleaning a car and keeping their stuff clean. They had money. They were concerned about it. Like it was prime. That didn't make people successful.
That's true.
Just because you made some success in high times doesn't make you successful. The same as just because you fail doesn't make you a failure. You got to look at both sides. Definitely.
It's true. Yeah. There's actually, you know, I don't know what it's called, but there's a museum of failures from big brands. I think it's in Sweden. I'm gonna have to look it up after because I can't remember exactly where, but it's all the like products or offshoots that brands made that just completely fucking tanked. And anyway, they have a museum for it, and you can go through it and check it out and stuff. It's pretty interesting. I've always wanted to go, but I've seen video and pictures and stuff. But there's a product in there I always found was kind of comical in a sense. Harley Davidson. I think we'd all agree they're very successful at their core business and what they do, right? You ever do you wear cologne? No? Okay. Well, then you wouldn't have worn this for sure. But Harley Davidson made a cologne once.
Yeah, I
They
do
tried.
remember that. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
didn't try it, but I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking big flop. Big flop. But they tried something.
Mhm.
But because they failed once at that, does that make them a failure? No, not necessarily. But if you look at it from the other perspective, they tried to launch a cologne, and let's say that one was a hit, but then they launched a different scent or something. Because they had that one hit, would that make them successful also? The answer is no. So you're right. You got to look both sides. But I think people need to first realize who they are and what their goals are so that they can determine what side of the fence they're on. Because without knowing that, how do you know if you're succeeding or failing? And for us, like we started before the pandemics, we were already solidified with our business. We knew we had very clear objectives and goals. We knew what our end result of what success was to us. So we were already hitting those targets and exceeding them. So what happened during the pandemic is it just amplified it. It just magnified it times 100. But someone that started during, they might have gotten caught up in that, kind of the gold rush and woo, this is really exciting.
They're successful.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
didn't need to learn how to fish. You just fished.
You just fished.
Yeah,
It's like
you ever
fishing with
gone?
dynamite.
You ever gone out? Yeah. I remember as a young kid, I didn't get to fish on boats very often, but one time I did. Got to go fish with a buddy and his dad, and we found this group of spawning sand bass.
Yeah.
We didn't
It's
have
just
to
everywhere.
fish. You just threw it out there and you just
just-
reeled
you
in.
just
That's all
reeled.
you did.
Yeah, that's it. You just-
Like that day, I was a great fisherman.
Yeah.
That didn't really make me a great fisherman, though.
No.
I hope people understand the point. Like, because you have some success during great times, it doesn't define you as successful. Now
100%.
actually becomes the moments where people get defined.
very true.
When the rubber meets the road, right? We go back to that old saying, right? When
Very
the
true.
rubber meets the road, that's when we really find out. So the reason for me saying all that is for this, so that each of the listeners can go look at themselves in the mirror and wonder, right?
Am I a good
Rubber's
fisherman?
meeting the road. Which direction am I going to go?
Yeah.
I should be going up. I should continue to climb. I shouldn't be grinding, and I shouldn't be going back downwards towards the trenches.
It's
I
true.
should be continuing to climb up.
It's true. Yeah. And I find too with that, business owners kind of tend to sort of like before they start a business or once they've started, but they're in the early stages, they kind of have an idea of what they think an entrepreneur or a business owner is. And so they try to fill those roles instead of seeing what actually is going to put the rubber to the road and looking at what does the company need to actually succeed. So I do a different approach. I look at what kind of lifestyle I want, what kind of organism I want to build, because I look at a business like a living, breathing thing, and then I figure out what it needs to sustain itself. So, think of it like a house plant. Does it need this? How much sunshine? What side of the house should I put it on? Maybe it needs shade. Does it need water? Whatever the case may be. But I feel that a lot of people don't take that time to assess the organization. And so that's where you end up with things where, times are great and it's really easy to be a good fisherman because the fish are just everywhere biting on anything. But you don't actually know what it takes to be a great fisherman because you haven't identified the qualities that are needed to be that. So I think that's where a lot of people miss out, but for me, like I've done all kinds of businesses. My dad told me when I started the auto shop, like, what are you doing? Stick to the online shit. He's like, websites, marketing, that's the stuff, And I said, no, you have to understand something, Dad. I said, I had a tourism business. I've had printing company, all these things. I said, it's the principles. I know how to identify what a business will need to survive. So I could probably get plunked into a different industry that I'm unfamiliar with, but I'd be able to find those things, those elements that are going to breathe life into the organization, because I've taken those hard looks in the mirror, just like you said, and I have identified what's in me that I can bring to that organization. And then the pieces I don't have, I'll outsource them, which is, okay, there's going to be a mini tip, but it is something else I wanted to mention. It's that it's just a mini tip, When, whenever you're looking at, your company or yourself and trying to identify what you can bring to the table and stuff like that, I think an important thing to realize is that you have to understand all of the aspects of the company that you're building as well, and identify the pieces in you that you're not going to be able to fit or fill, outsource those, but during that process, get familiar with them. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I was talking to a guy recently, and he took our advice on a past episode. He did this exercise. He looked at himself and figured out what qualities and traits he had. He didn't want to do sales, didn't want to do marketing. He just wanted to just run the operations side of things. And I said, okay, that's fine, but you have to have all those other pieces. So he hired a marketing company, and he said, I just want them to do everything. I'm going to look at the results. So every month he wanted to just look at reports. How's my SEO doing? How's this? How's that? And I encouraged him to get more involved with the marketing agency. And my tip is going to be, well, this mini tip is going to be just get involved with the marketing agency in some capacity, but open up that dialogue that you're not trying to replace them. Make them feel at ease that, hey, I'm in this long term, but I need to understand what you're doing and how you're doing it so that I can bring more to the table, because you've got that industry insight, and not just the industry, but you've got the insight into how you want your business to operate, the messages you want to put out there. So you got to play an active role in it. Absolutely. And so my advice, if he's listening, Roger, what you need to do is reach out, back out to your marketing agency and tell them you want to be more involved than just getting monthly reports. Anyway, so this is my mini tip, is become heavily involved in those aspects of your business so that you can understand them. Like when my wife and I, we were working at Auto World in the beginning, we were in there, rubber boots, everything. Like she was cleaning this, I was cleaning that. We were doing everything. And it wasn't because I planned on being a detailer for the rest of my life. It was because I needed to understand the processes my staff were going to go through. I had to understand the customer experience. I had to understand the end result and just the whole intake process, everything, so that I could put together better ads and I could fill the role that I identified in myself, which was going to be marketing, technology, implementation, those kinds of things. So that's the hard look I took in the mirror to realize that. And so that was just a mini tip. I do have a tip for today, so I'll get to that moment. But how about yourself, Marty? So in your own organization, I know you guys go through a lot of changes. You often look at things.
You're not tipping me. Nope. Nope.
The best tip of your life. But so okay. So I've recently hired a new person. I'll use myself real quick. I've recently hired someone to do the Zooms and stuff like that. Yeah, I tip myself.
Marilyn Manson, tip yourself
all the time. Nobody loves you like yourself. But so I hired someone to do Zooms, live chat support, that kind of stuff, right? Something I'm capable of doing, but something I shouldn't be doing, because I have other assets that I can bring to the company that, it would be more difficult to hire someone to do. So
like your tip?
Hey?
An asset like your tip?
Yeah, an asset like my tip. Absolutely. It's insured, but so so he so hired someone, and we're approaching the 3-month mark that they've been here. And so I go through a process.
One of those warranties with it too?
Absolutely, man. 10-year warranty, baby. And it comes with credentials for the wall. So we're approaching the 3-month mark. And so I sent out a little kind of questionnaire type thing that this is something I start with, and the questionnaires get a little bit lengthier the longer someone's employed, and the questions change. And so the first question is, on a scale of 1 to 3, how would you rate how you feel every day coming to work? 3 being, I love it, I'm super pumped, I want to come back tomorrow. 1 being, I wish things were completely different. And I do 1 to 3 because I don't want to give someone too big a spectrum, something like that, Anyway, so that's the first thing. The second question is, what do you find are repetitive tasks that could be automated, done differently, or if there's tools or software or something that could help to make that better? That's the second thing I asked them. And then the third thing I asked them is, what is the one thing that you absolutely hate doing every day and you don't look forward to? And so I asked those 3 questions. That's the first thing. That's at the 30-day, or sorry, the 90-day mark. And then I have other questions for the other ones. But these kinds of things are important because I'm no longer filling those roles. And so I'm out of touch now. Right. And so the best way to figure out if, like, because maybe I do something, for example, 3 months ago or whatever the case is, and it worked out well. And I marked that down as a success. So when we're talking about the things that are like successes, you want to make sure it's an actual success and not just a fluke, right? Because what's that saying? Like the broken clock is right 2 times a day or whatever it is. Basically, if you throw a hammer enough times, you're going to hit the nail regardless of your skill level, basically, right? So maybe I did something and it worked and I was like, perfect. And I think that's the way things should be done. But maybe I just got lucky in that moment. Maybe my sales script, I just hit 5 customers at the right time to buy exactly. So I wouldn't know, right? So these kinds of questionnaires are important to go with your business as you evolve. And if you have employees, give those questions to your employees. Always ask for feedback. If it's just you, you're a solopreneur, ask yourself those questions daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it has to be. So this should be sort of an evolving process, I would say, where you're constantly looking at yourself, your business, the direction of the company, things like that, because that way you can identify what's really a success or a failure and what was just you getting lucky, maybe based on circumstances. Like if you're selling eyeshadow makeup and you crushed it during COVID, maybe it's because lipstick sales were down. So these kinds of things, it's how you can determine what's real and what's not. And that was not a tip. That was just me talking.
Wait, so we haven't even gotten to the tip yet?
I've got to the tip. Oh, you'll know it. You'll feel it. And for this, this baby's
I'm
insured.
gonna go get a smoke. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Jesus. But yeah, so in your own organization, do you guys do like what do you do, like weekly meetings, or what do you do?
Almost daily.
Almost daily? Love it.
Yeah, almost daily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
No, that's perfect.
For the close inner, but
Of course. Yeah.
we also have a lot of, I would say we contract out a lot more of our other stuff because then those meetings are probably more weekly. Hey, I need an update on what we're doing here. Hey, I need an update on this. Yeah.
Nice.
Especially as we've gotten into contracting out the videography work for our social media.
Yeah.
I
need
did
an update
that
on
for,
milestones and progress of what's going on.
16 to 23. So 7 years. And then finally, now we had a girl for a while, well, that would be like 18, 19, I think, somewhere around there, or maybe it's 19, 20, Parker. And she did good for us for a little bit. And she was in-house, but otherwise then, this is the first time we've hired out a company to do it. So yeah, those are almost daily.
Yeah.
Like, hey, cause it's so hard finding videographers, and then finding a videographer that knows how to detail. That's a unicorn. And we could never find that.
Yeah.
That actually then put out a really good quality video and would want to do it for a business. Right. So you keep running down all these trails and it becomes very hard to find. So the videographer that we found, he might spray too much glass cleaner on. Yeah. He did this video the other day, and he probably put like 20 sprays, and it's just like, he doesn't know, but I had told him before, because he'd been doing some tires and he had sprayed like 3 or 4 sprays. So it's like, come on, dude, you got to use the product, right? Then it's like, whoa, hold on, man. No detailer is going to spray 20 times on a side mirror. Like, hey, so those type of meetings, those seem to happen a little bit more frequently, but usually try and do once a week with those guys. Then Nick and I we talk daily.
Nice.
We'll have like full on meetings. Yeah. Probably 3 times a week.
Yeah. Damn, that's good though. It's important.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny. As you mentioned it though, I was thinking about some people's ads, and that's an interesting thing, where like you take someone that's doing the filming and he doesn't know how to use the product in the right way because he's not a detailer. He's a videographer, right? And it's got me thinking, like, a lot of people that they put together ads, but they hire someone else to do it. Oftentimes they'll get them filming themselves doing the work. But that's an interesting process when you think about it, because if you look at it from a customer's point of view, customer watching it, that could be like a make or break it point. Like you see see someone 20 squirts on the windshield and you're like, or on the side glass, and you're like, whoa, I don't know if this guy knows what he's doing.
Or Revive is safe and does a really great job on screens.
Yeah.
But no detailer is going to go grab a spray and just start spraying a screen.
Yeah.
There was some of the very first. We're like, whoa, whoa. He's like,
oh, that's what he did in the video.
Yeah, but you can't just spray the screen. No, nobody's going to do that, man. Spray the towel and then wipe the screen. He's like, well, it did great. It didn't cause any problems. And I go, oh, I know.
Yeah. but yeah, Jesus. Yeah, that's interesting though, because it's all those little intricacies that like I've seen your finalized videos, they're very well done, but you don't think about how many takes that took because of little things like this, maybe that that's interesting, man. Shit. It's got me thinking I gotta go back now and watch some of our our stuff that we do. Although some of them I did catch, like we had this one guy, we were at one time thinking about doing a video on each individual service and kind of like a time lapse thing. So show the whole thing and then time lapse it. And so we had this one guy in, and anyway, he was doing a headlight restoration. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. And it just so happened that they had filmed it, but then I was watching back all the time lapse stuff that they had, and it was moving so fast. So I didn't catch it the first time. I was about to post it, and then I was like, wait a minute, let me rewatch that. Did I see what I thought I saw? And then I rewatched it, and there were two main problems that happened. But the one big one is halfway through the guy's job. This guy's no longer with us, by the way, fired 100%. But anyway, he's going through and his pants started to fall down, and he reached in with his hand, like full hand in the back of the pants, pulled his pants up, and then he went right back and started touching the customer's car. And I was like, there's no way in hell that that's going anywhere near our social profiles. Are you kidding me? Someone's gonna be like, yeah, go to Auto World. They got ass hands. They're gonna just they'll fix you up real good. No. So it anyway, he was let go for other reasons. But if at the time he wasn't being let go, that would have been definitely a good reason. Friggin' ass hands. But yeah, it's all those little things you don't see, the behind the scenes kind of thing. But the bloopers of sorts, if we will. So, question for you. You've heard the first off, good job on the meetings, but you've heard the saying, don't mess with Texas.
I'm from Oklahoma. We do not agree with that statement.
So, okay,
things
feedback.
aren't better in Texas. Nope.
All right, fair enough. Do you know where that saying came from, though?
Texas.
Yeah, okay, so it came from Texas, yes, of course. But yeah, well done. Okay, Marty wins. There we go. I'm gonna send you out a plaque for your wall, but it'll say certified. So don't mess with Texas. Kind of interesting saying. Came from an area in the transportation and automotive industry, but it'd be pretty interesting to find out where. And it came from
DMV.
highway. What'd you say? What was the guess?
DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles.
Yeah, very, very, very close. Yeah, it was a transportation agency. So as a whole, the one that oversees them all, and it came from garbage on the side of the road. So it came from litter, and it all originated from the department they hired, because even these government agencies, they hire ad campaigns and all ad companies to make campaigns. And so they had hired an ad company to help make a campaign to stop the litter on the side of the road because it was becoming a problem. And a lot of Texans at the time felt it was their God-given right to just throw their trash out the window as they were driving, and it was a big problem. The cleanup cost, a fortune, obviously. So the ad agency was trying all different kinds of things. They were thinking of, don't litter, don't this and that. And usually they say, don't use negatives, like don't use don't in your marketing. But sometimes it can help depending on how it is. And in this case, what they did is they took a look at their demographic, and they realized that, there's a lot of pride that comes out of Texas, and, people were proud of where they came from and so on and so forth. So they were thinking about it, but nothing was really sticking. Anyway, the guy goes home, he's rattling it in his brain over the weekend, trying to figure out, some sort of campaign or something like that. And then he was taking a look at his house, and it was just a little bit of disorderly. And he thought about his mom, where she used to always say, don't leave your room a mess. And then it just clicked, and he was like, don't make a mess of Texas. It's like, don't mess with Texas. So they create this whole campaign. They present it to the transportation agency, don't mess with Texas. And they had actually asked, they said, seems a little too abrasive. Can you add please in front of it? So the real saying was supposed to be, please don't mess with Texas. But the ad campaign, the company refused. They said, we're not going to run the campaign if you add please, because it's going to take away from the severity of the message, right? And so they kept it short and simple. And they, once again, targeted the demographic, the pride, the proudness. They hired 2 NFL stars. They were in the ads, big guys. And they were like, yeah, I have a message for the guy that threw that can out the window. And if you find him, I need to tell him the message personally. Don't mess with Texas, and that's how the whole thing started. So the point is, all of this comes down to, okay, yeah, it was a clever campaign, but it's something that's stuck around for a long time. Everyone's familiar with the saying, but no one really knows where it came from. But it all came down to them understanding the demographic and the pride that they have. And the advantage for you is that every city out there, there's going to be some sort of sense of pride, whatever it happens to be. Like here in the city, we are very proud of a few things, like the Ottawa Senators. There's this whole Sens pride thing that we have going on and stuff. So if there's ways that you can target into a community, that's a good way to do your community, good way to do your marketing. Now, that being said, you might not have the budget to get 2 NFL guys. You might not have something as clever as don't mess with Texas, so on and so forth. So I get it. You might not even be able to target your entire city or region because of the size of it, trying to narrow down, what is it that I could, kind of tackle onto. And that's where I want to tell you a second story that relates to this, which is from little old Toronto in the 6 in Canada here, and Hershey's chocolates. We're all familiar with Hershey's. And Marty, I think you'll appreciate this, and maybe you could use this on your other podcast as well. But have you ever heard of the O. Henry 425 bar?
I've heard of the O. Henry.
Okay.
I have not heard of the O. Henry 425 bar.
Okay. So you're obviously familiar with 420. Huge culture and demographic around 420. And so a lot of people are familiar with that. So O. Henry test launched a chocolate bar in Canada, in Toronto, and they called it the 425 bar. And they launched it on 420 when we were passing legislation here to legalize, recreational cannabis use, which was good. And so they launched it after that as a recreational hunger bar. And they had these special labels and everything made up. And they basically launched it here as a test pilot. These things ended up so popular, they were on eBay. People were selling them for like 5 times what they could buy them for. It was crazy because everyone just wanted, it's so unique, I got to get that. But the interesting thing was that O. Henry took a look at a subculture that had a lot of pride around certain things. And they said, okay, how can we use this to our advantage? And so they constructed their marketing messages and so on and so forth for that subculture. But they did it in a controlled way where they did a small little test. And then once they saw things started working and picking up, they pushed it even harder. They were really smart actually with it, because cannabis products here fall under certain legislation for, what kind of marketing messages they can use and stuff like that. But in this case, it's just a chocolate bar. So they didn't fall into the same kind of restrictions that a lot of the cannabis products did. So they were able to capitalize on that. And so the takeaway from my tip today is to take a look at the culture as a whole that you have in your city or society and your region, and find ways that you can tap into that pride, because pride will help resonate with your customers. And if you find it difficult to find that on a macro level, looking at the whole city, try to find these subcultures, just like what O. Henry did with the 425 bar, where they found these subcultures within a culture. And they said, okay, how can we tackle that pride that they have and change our marketing messages so that we can appeal to that audience specifically. And the biggest thing is, once you find a prideful group, they usually are very active in their communities. And that's how, for example, OrbisX has grown so much, is because I've tapped into the pride that a lot of these small business owners feel by feeling taken care of, by feeling, the sense of, belonging that comes with being a small business owner and going through the hurdles and the struggles. And then, tapping into that side to make sure that there's something that's there for them. So I listen very much whenever they suggest things, and I implement them and then give them a shout out, because it's important for them to feel pride with that and to be recognized. And then they help spread the word to other people as well, because they're very active in the community, so that's a community. gonna get licked by the end of this. Oh boy, you might just get another tip. But your eyes are like, oh my god. How come Marty doesn't come on the podcast anymore? I don't know. But yeah, so anyway, that's my my tip for the week here is look for those subcultures and create a message around it to piggyback on that pride that they feel. Absolutely.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Thank you, sir. 425 bar, baby.
425.
Yeah. Fun fact, it tastes just like a regular O. Henry. But the packaging was cool. Recreational hunger, what can you do? I would have expected maple syrup, coming out of Toronto. A little something. A little splash, So anyway, that's my my tip for the week. Appreciate you guys. And Marty, also thanks for your insight for everybody on two things. One, because in case people missed it, the feedback side of things. Look how successful Marty's built up his business into, and a lot of that comes from knowing the direction he's going, like you said, putting the rubber to the road, but having those feedback meetings to make sure that he stays on track. That's super helpful.
The one thing I don't remember now, maybe we did. You'll have to refresh my memory. Do we give people shit about the way they talk about customer service?
We did not.
We did not.
We did not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
so
maybe next week.
Next week. Yeah. Next week we'll dive into customer service. So we got some things to tell you. Absolutely. Yeah. I can't believe that slipped both our minds though. Jesus. Yeah. Well, and then Shawn came and dropped 11 tips. Sorry. My apologies. That's right. Enjoy the episode. I'm sure we're all walking funny now. All right, Marty, I appreciate you, brother. I'll see you next week. Same place, same time. You got it, man. Have a good one. All right, cheers.